Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. My name is Ango. This is the Ango Show, and I'm joined by Billy TKO, youtube.com/Billy TKO. Billy, we just saw WWE Raw go off the air after 3 hours, and of course, we're going to talk about it, but I didn't hear from you. First of all, how the hell are you doing? And second of all, did you enjoy tonight's episode?
My brother, I am good. I hope you're doing well, by the way. Also, this Raw, best thing since sliced bread. That's all I'm gonna say. We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna have fun. Best thing since sliced bread.
Man, it's so funny. I'm changing the way I'm living my life. And I've made a lot of changes. And one of the things that I'm doing recently is like a digital detox, which it's actually quite hard, Billy, considering that this is my full-time job.
Yes.
But when I say digital detox, like I'm talking about it from the perspective of like, maybe not respond to every text message I get. Yeah. Maybe not watch TV all the time. Maybe not do all of these little habits that I've had, right? I'm spending more time in the gym, working out, whatever. But this digital detox, and I don't know like how other people feel about Raw. I honestly don't know. Aside from a few tweets about tonight's Raw, I have mostly stayed off of my phone. And I swear, Billy, I'm telling you right now, this is 2 weeks in a row where I've watched Raw and I'm like, this is good. This is just really good.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, there was so much that actually happened on tonight's Raw that like it's kind of hard to keep up with, honestly. So, and keep in mind, that's with me having it's like WWE has my undivided attention. Lot of stuff to discuss, a lot of stuff happening, and it's crazy.
Dude, it's really funny you say that. Number one, the digital detox that you've been on, we've talked about it. And I will say that I love that for you, by the way. Yeah. That's amazing, man. I think everybody should maybe try that out. And you got me intrigued to maybe try it out myself, just for the mere fact that I live my life on my phone and it's kind of a problem and maybe need to step away from it. So inspiring, brother.
Yeah, no, it's just, listen, I mean, my whole sole purpose of it was like, I've been going to the gym anyways for like the last month. Obviously cooking more and stuff like that. And like, that's all cool and like whatever. Yeah. But physical health is only as good if your mental health is great, right?
Yep.
And I've always kind of like, I never really had an issue with like mental health or anything like that. But also at the same time too, one of my big concerns was like, I'm trying to be focused on just kind of like my energy and just like being happier with like not being on social media all the time. And, of course it's a sacrifice or whatever, but it's been really good. It's been really good. I feel like just so much better in general, not constantly tweeting about wrestling and not constantly, doing these things that we're habitually doing, because truth be told, man, social media and stuff, it becomes tiresome. I also think I think social media could persuade you differently with the way you're watching wrestling. And, I've been watching AEW a little bit this past weekend. Obviously we had Collision and all these different things. And like wrestling's just been really good. And I'd rather talk about it in video format than like tweet about it. So
yeah, I feel like this is the best place, right? Because you could tweet all you want, but really what's a tweet going to do for you? I mean, let's just be real here. The real side.
Bro, the funny thing is like I pay for Twitter Blue, which I'm canceling anyways. But
yeah,
the Twitter thing, right? Like people will sit there and be like, oh, well, you get paid off of your tweets, so you're not even being genuine with your takes, which is so funny because I'm always 100% genuine with my takes. You just don't agree with it. So you think I'm doing this for clout. But it's actually fascinating. That's the one fucking thing I love about this wrestling shit is like, I could be like, hey, why is this match happening? And people will be like, oh, that's so disingenuous. You're fucking biased, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, okay, whatever. And then they're like, but of course, because you're a blue check mark. And I'm like,
yeah,
brother, I'm a blue check mark. I pay for it because it helps push out your content.
That's it.
At the end of the day, do you think I'm going to get paid significant amount of money for this shit? I'm going to say my true opinions, right? Because I'm hoping that you see it. And if you agree or disagree, whatever, at least you see it and you're going to come to my channel. And the cool thing is when you come to my channel, you're going to find out, oh, wait, this is not a fucking gimmick. So yeah, it's just really funny. The digital detox thing has been great because AEW and WWE have been killing it. But tonight, WWE's Raw was all about storytelling.
Absolutely, man. It was amazing.
Not to mention, we did get some great matches too. So I definitely want to talk about it. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're joining us on the stream for the first time or whatever, maybe you want your comments and questions read, go ahead and drop a super chat or become a member. Definitely appreciate it if you guys choose to do so. It is guaranteed that it gets read on the stream. Last few streams that we've done actually as well, there have been people who have dropped super chats after the fact. So I have personally gone out and reached out to those people to answer their questions. But make sure you guys do it within the stream because we're live and you might as well.
Best time to get it read is live.
Yeah, 100%. Billy, you know what we got to discuss off the rip?
Yeah, come on, let's talk about it.
Because there's a lot happening tonight.
There was so much going on.
But there's 3 things that WWE really did to excite me. And I just kind of want to get an overall opinion from you on this.
Okay.
Tonight, Imperium looks like, you know how Bloodline is the #1 faction on SmackDown? It's like not even arguable, right?
Yeah.
Imperium, Gunther, they're getting to that point actually more than Judgment Day. We're starting to see Imperium take that #1 slot, right?
Right.
So I feel like they've accomplished that. The second thing was Judgment Day is, interestingly enough, I think it's Rhea Ripley that leaves the group. Tonight, that's what they established. They established this thought in my head that maybe Rhea Ripley is going to be leaving the group. And I think they're going to do, I have a very interesting prediction for WrestleMania.
Okay. Which we'll get into.
We will, but it involves Rhea Ripley.
Okay.
And so they established that the Judgment Day is falling apart. And a lot of people don't really see this or realize this. And then the third thing, too, is that Cody Rhodes, Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins, Sami Zayn, and all of these other guys that are on Raw each week have a level of continuity within storytelling every week where it just appears to me that WWE is really fucking with us going into WrestleMania. And what I mean by that is there's so much stuff happening and it's being done on purpose for WWE to make you think that plans aren't necessarily set in stone. And we'll talk more about those in specific examples.
So I look at it like I agree with you to some degree on that. Imperium does look very strong, but there is something, especially because #1, I was super shocked to see Judgment Day even show up in the segment with Imperium.
Yes.
Like it was the last thing I was expecting, which made me excited.
Yeah.
It made me very excited to know that, okay, now I can expect the unexpected because there was no reason. #1, it's 2 heel factions, right? Yeah. WWE years ago, this doesn't happen and it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Right. But now looking at it, it makes sense. And then you bring Dom into it, who is obviously, just kind of putting himself in there, messing around, whatever the case is.
Mm-hmm.
But you look at it and you're like, yo, like this doesn't. Okay, I'm here for the ride. Tell me the story that we're going. Tell me the story that we're about to go on, and I'm here to take it with you. So, looking at Imperium as a whole, right?
Yeah,
they seem very strong. And I will tell you what, that street fight tonight really set the tone for everything in the way that I think of Imperium.
I have some interesting thoughts on that too.
Okay.
But go ahead, continue. I feel like you have a little bit more.
Yeah, no. So looking at that street fight, we've talked about it. Ludwig Kaiser, I was really, really high on already.
Yeah.
I did struggle with Giovanni Vinci though.
Yeah.
I struggled with him just because I felt like Ludwig had this character. Giovanni doesn't, right? Giovanni is obviously a very good wrestler. We all know that. Everybody who watches wrestling knows he's a good wrestler. But in WWE, you need to be a little bit more than that. And this guy today looked very, very strong, which I felt like they lacked with him for a while. So I know we've talked a lot on these streams and we've talked about Ludwig maybe going on that singles run. I look at these guys like they could do what New Day did and just not break up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like like you don't have to break them up.
I remember very much about, I don't know, a couple months ago, maybe it wasn't even a couple months ago. Honestly, it just feels like it's been a couple months. But I remember that day when WWE Raw aired that vignette for Ludwig Kaiser.
Yes.
And then they did one the next week for Giovanni Vinci, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking, we're like, oh my God, like this is, they might be preparing for Ludwig. And what's really interesting is me and you have had conversations where we've kind of dabbled into fantasy booking with like Bash at Berlin with Ludwig and maybe Gunther, right? Yep. And all those things are obviously on the table, but I love the idea of these guys being all together and then of course doing some single stuff. And what's really interesting is I saw somebody in the chat mention it. They're like, well, Imperium has had cracks in their storytelling, but I like this is like one thing I really want to bring up with wrestling. It's like, we're all human beings, right? And when I've said this before on streams, I'm like, WWE's in the reality era in the sense of like, there's a very humane approach to the characters, right?
Absolutely.
That's not across the board. But like when I see cracks within a faction, I think of a brotherhood. If you have siblings, anybody who's ever had siblings or really good friends understands that you might have cracks within your friendship, but then you get back on the same page, right? And for some groups, they will never, ever get fixed. And for some other groups, it's going to be to the point where you could fix it. And I think Imperium has actually been not showing as much teased like cracks, if that makes sense. They haven't been teasing it as much
as we originally thought.
For sure. But now I'm actually noticing a lot smaller stuff with the Judgment Day. And these small things are so significant, which is why I want to talk about that as well.
Yeah. So listen, I have a feeling about that, right? Now that you talk about the Judgment Day, there is something that I noticed tonight. And it's something that's been standing out. I don't know what's going on there. It's something that's been standing out for some time now. And it is that Damian Priest has turned into this hothead.
I'm so glad you're saying this. I'm so glad you're saying this. Yes. Yes.
So he's turned into this hothead, and I'm like, okay, well, where does this leave the story? And maybe you can help me answer this because I do have I wanna get to where we're going here. Yeah. But yes, he's turned into this hothead, and it just happened. Yeah. One random week. So maybe help explain.
Yeah. So I think there's two things that you need to understand, right?
Okay.
First and foremost is WWE is literally not telling you what Gunther's WrestleMania opponent is, right? Tonight we had like 4 or 5 different segments where there was somebody really just making it known. Like they're either making it known that they're going to be the IC champion or
they're on the hunt.
They're on the hunt for it, right?
Right.
We even got a little bit of a backstage segment with Andrade, which kind of also got me thinking, okay, maybe he goes for the IC title. Yep. So the reason why I'm bringing this all up, though, is because right now everybody wants the Intercontinental Championship. The one thing that has not happened with the Judgment Day is Damian Priest going after the Intercontinental Championship.
Yes.
Which is what that segment kind of alluded to. And so what I find very interesting about Damian Priest being hot-headed actually leads to Rhea Ripley.
Okay.
It's 100%, right? This whole time for over a year now, it's been, who's the leader? Is it Rhea? Is it Damian Priest? And they kind of bicker about it a little bit. And then now all of a sudden, for the last month and a half or so before Elimination Chamber, we didn't see Dom Mysterio and Rhea Ripley on TV as much. And that's largely due to the fact that Rhea Ripley's playing a babyface character going into that match against Nia Jax for the Chamber, right?
Yes.
Now, tonight, we get the promo with Rhea, Dom, right?
Yeah.
Then we get Dom go face-to-face with Gunther. Goes backstage, and even Rhea Ripley, which was like a very big babyface moment, but she's like, what the hell are you thinking? Gunther?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, if you put it all together, it kind of makes sense. Damian Priest is hot-headed because Damian Priest doesn't have what he's truly desired.
For, right.
100%.
So
Damian
now,
Priest, look at this. Look at this, though. From a long-term perspective, this is going to go over people's heads, but this is the reality. If you look at Damian Priest, he has the money in the bank. He still has not cashed it in. Okay? On top of that, he's holding the Undisputed Tag Team Championship belts.
Mm-hmm.
Damian Priest is not in the Judgment Day because he cares about the Judgment Day being better. He's in the Judgment Day because he wants to be the star. It's always been about Damian Priest in his eyes. But the problem is with Rhea Ripley and Finn and JD and all these other guys in the group, even when you bring R-Truth into the mix, right?
Yeah.
He kind of started to trust R-Truth, and then it really became where R-Truth became the big overall act. And
he found out it was making him less of a star.
So I think he's hot-headed. I think Rhea Ripley is the one. It's the swerve of the century. I think Rhea Ripley is going to leave the group.
Mm-hmm.
They don't need her.
No,
and I think Damian Priest
too.
And Damian Priest will remain a heel. I think we've been wrong this entire time about Damian Priest becoming a babyface.
I agree.
I think he remains a heel. I think Dom and Rhea go the babyface route.
And I think you let them have that kind of China Eddie Guerrero dynamic. I think
100%, which we've definitely talked about this before. But yeah, Damian Priest is hot-headed for a reason, and it really ultimately comes down to is everything that he desires is what Rhea Ripley wants. And Damian Priest doesn't have that.
Tonight was a perfect example of what is happening within the Judgment Day. When he stepped up to Gunther and they immediately pulled him back, that tells me off jump, that this guy is being held back by these guys. And that's making him hot-headed, I feel like.
So this is another thing, right? Which I really appreciated this part of the segment. But when Gunther like pushes Dom, right?
Yes.
If you look at the facial reactions of everybody, Damian Priest is like really heated.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is he more heated though?
Set him off.
But is it that he's heated? Is he angry because it's Gunther pushing his boy, or is it because Dom Mysterio, the one who stepped up? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely think it's Dom. I think it's Dom that pissed him off, because at the end of the day, I'm going to sit here and tell everybody Damian, I don't think is going to go after the Intercontinental title. If you want me to be 100% honest,
I can tell you 100% it's not going to be the case.
But there is a question that I seen up here.
Okay.
That I want to bring into the mix. It was a super chat if you want to pull it up.
Yes, I see it now.
Yes.
Richard Martinez, $2 says, which title gets the ladder match, US or IC?
So the only way I see Damian Priest involved in any type of because it all goes down to, are you going to do something with R-Truth and The Miz? Are you going to go that route to where him and Damian and Finn will have to defend their titles against the Awesome Truth, which I think is a smart route. But there is lingering questions of, okay, so because there are so many contenders, right? There's so many people that you take serious, and it's like, all right, I actually talked to a buddy about this a little bit ago, and he was like, oh, I could see it both titles having some type of stipulation match on both nights.
Yeah.
Which I possibly see that.
Yeah.
But it all comes down to, you have to take into account like Damian Priest, Chad Gable, Sami Zayn, Shinsuke Nakamura, Andrade possibly being a player. Like, there are so many names, Bronson Reed. Just, I can keep the list going on Monday Night Raw of so many people that are actual players. I do not see a world where Damian Priest goes after Gunther.
So let me ask you a question. And I'm going to ask this question to everybody in the chat. Richard, thank you for the super chat. My question is kind of in relation to this. So would you rather have a singles match, right? So keep in mind, right? This is a very interesting question.
Okay.
You have two scenarios for WrestleMania, and they both accomplish different things. One is a singles match for a wrestler to go up against Gunther. In this case, Chad Gable, which, in my opinion, I've said this for several months. That was the original plan. That is likely going to be the plan. I don't expect that to change. Could it change? 1000%. But that was something that was discussed several months ago. Today, they dropped a promo with Chad Gable and Adam Pearce. So my mind is still that they're going Chad Gable versus Gunther, and he's the one to dethrone Gunther, right? Yeah. That was also the story that he's had, but then he took some side quests after. So would you rather have Chad Gable defeat Gunther one-on-one in a singles match, so he gets that very impactful babyface heroes welcome moment? Okay. Or would you rather have a 6-man ladder match that involves Dom, Andrade, Gunther, Chad Gable, Sami Zayn, and somebody else Gunther could still lose the belt, but it's a little bit less impactful because of the fact that it's a multi-man match. He's not necessarily the one putting somebody else over. Now, the reason why some people might choose to do this specific match, the multi-man match, is because, hey, it's WrestleMania. We have a lot of great guys that we want on the card. This is a way to do it. Now, here's the caveat. If you choose answer number one, which is Chad Gable versus Gunther, and Chad Gable wins and he gets the impactful moment, like one-on-one true contest, right? Mm-hmm. If you pick that, the caveat to that is that Andrade, Dom, Sami Zayn, and all those names that would have been in the ladder match will not be on WrestleMania. Which one do you choose?
All right. So this is going to be a really hot take and people might not like this. I don't care for seeing Gunther in any type of stipulation match. Is that bad? I don't think I want to. I don't want to see it. And the only reason I say I don't want to see it, right?
Yeah.
Is strictly because I find excitement out of the pureness of Gunther. And I think he's one of the best technical wrestlers. And again, this is like very in-depth and very detailed, but I won't get into the too much specifics behind it. I don't see Gunther as a wrestler who is going into some type of stipulation match. I think he brings the pureness out of people. That's why him and Chad Gable meshed so well, is how pure both of them are.
Yeah.
So, I mean, looking at all these people that we're talking about, Dom, Andrade, Sammy. I mean, truth be told, I do like the idea of, because my thing is you could flip Chad Gable and Sammy's positions and I'd be okay. Right? Mm-hmm. So, like, whether I got Sammy or whether I got Chad Gable, either or works for me in this scenario.
Okay.
But all these guys, right? Real fast. I'm going to finish off real quick. All these guys I look at as potential players going into next year. Not everybody needs a single or some type of match on this WrestleMania card. You're calling it XL and you're calling it the biggest, and I get it. You want to make everybody happy and give them all their show all the faces, but this is Triple H's WWE. You're not always going to get what you want. Some people are going to be disappointed, but it all makes sense and aligns with the story.
Yeah. So I want to read this because I thought this was a great comment. Phil, he says, or do you think you get a ladder match on night one for a chance to face Gunther on night two? So now here's something that I found very interesting. Let's just say, theoretically, The Rock and Seth and Roman and Cody, like the 2-on-2, right? Bloodline versus Seth and Cody. Let's just say that's on night one, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Meaning Seth and Cody both have championship singles matches at night two.
Right.
I wouldn't hate the idea of night one basically being, for most matches, the number one contendership match for night two. So that way, night two is all championship matches, like Night of Champions style.
Yeah, and you just make it instantly feel important.
So, for example, right, if you think about this from the perspective, and I wanted to read this because Jana actually brought up a super chat. Comparing the two champs, I think a ladder match is better suited for Logan's athleticism, right? And I actually agree with this. I think Gunther, which we have seen with Gunther, those one-on-one matchups or those triple threat matchups, like he puts on clinics. He puts on wrestling clinics. Logan can be really, I mean, especially for the virality aspect of it, Logan being in a ladder match with, if you want, dude, you can do fucking 10 people. I don't care. You could stack that match as much as you want. Randy Orton, LA Knight, AJ Styles, Ricochet, this person, that person. It doesn't matter. You put them in there. Mm-hmm. And what's really cool is Logan Paul can win or he can lose, but no matter what, people will be talking about that match because of the athleticism that Logan has. Whereas I think Gunther probably in a multi-man match wouldn't be a big name being discussed because of the fact that Gunther he's a different type of wrestler. Let's just call it what it is.
Yeah, that's all it is. And to that, I say, yes, 100%. I do think it's just simple.
Yeah.
The United States Championship picture makes more sense for a ladder match. Yes, I get it. You might possibly take away from an AJ Styles, LA Knight singles match, but I don't think I'd be crazy for saying that right now LA Knight is losing some steam.
No, you are crazy for saying that.
Am I?
He literally just had 50,000 people chant. He's not losing steam, but this is how you lose steam. If you put him in a singles match with AJ Styles, which by the way I think is a great feud.
Yes,
but it's just a singles match on WrestleMania. Like what makes it feel like the must-see match? But if you put them all in a U.S. title match,
I think you have something special with all of them being in.
And so, by the way, you can always have LA Knight defeat everybody in that ladder match, get a singles reign. Oh, AJ Styles 1000% completes his heel turn, and he's the one to take it off of LA Knight.
Yep.
He doesn't have to, but you could. Right. But also, too, one thing you got to factor in with the U.S. title and the IC title, they both have a really good problem, which is, and I tweeted this actually. It was one of my few tweets. It's like everybody wants a championship belt. So for both titles, like a lot of people are in the mix. It's actually relatively nice that any person added to both of those types of matches, they're not just thrown in there. It's because they've been in this bubble where like that's their scene.
And a lot of them are getting wins too. That's the thing.
Yes. Like they're all credible. Like having Sammy beat Shinsuke tonight, it's difficult because we love Nakamura.
Right.
But also for the story that is bigger here, it's Sammy going to WrestleMania. So
and Shinsuke's a heel, so I don't think it necessarily takes anything away from Shinsuke's credibility either because of the work that he's naturally doing on TV.
Exactly. So it's interesting because I think both matches could be really, really legit. I'm going to go back to my original question. I said, would you rather have the Chad Gable versus Gunther? That is my answer. However, I don't hate the idea that Phil brought up, which was hey, do a ladder match on night 1. Winner gets the IC title match night 2, which you get everybody on there.
Imagine having Gable win both of those and having that huge moment. That would just be nuts. Gable
and Cody both win. After, double duty, which, hey, by the way, you want to be the champion. This is the adversity you have to take. You have to earn your spot,
It's simple storytelling.
And here's the thing, having Seth, for example, run double duty, it actually makes a lot of sense for him to lose against Drew McIntyre because, hey, The Rock beat your ass. You got pinned,
And then you're back, everything. I mean, it all aligns.
100%. So it is going to be a very interesting WrestleMania this year, obviously for that reason, but I think this is cool for the simple fact that Gunther and LA Knight and Logan Paul and all of these guys that we're just talking about, like all of these people, Billy, they're all ready to step up.
Dude, every single one of them.
My other suggestion, which may be a different name because I feel like the Andre the Giant thing is just kind of played out, but I would not be opposed if you really want to get people on the card and actually use this. Last year we got like the showcase tag team matches. Wow. This year I would do battle royals on the kickoff show, and your Andrades, Bobby Lashley, which just sucks because I don't want some of these guys are too good to be in a battle royal, but use this as a spot to get people on the card and get these people on the show. And then use the eliminations in the battle royal to start new stories for Raw and SmackDown after Mania.
Exactly. I think you can do that.
Your problem. That does solve your problem with the guys that we were talking about that wouldn't be on the show.
Yeah, I don't hate
that. Which is great because I did want to segue into this. Richard Martinez dropped a $2 super chat. He says, after today, can you see Liv added to Becky and Rhea? So, no, I don't think she gets added to the match. However, there is something interesting happening here. Liv Morgan kind of changes my mind. And Billy, I'm dead ass telling you this. Man to man, face to face, like straight up, I genuinely believe that Rhea Ripley should be a babyface.
100%.
I also believe that Becky Lynch should be a heel. And my prediction that I was telling you earlier that I was alluding to was they do a very famous double turn at WrestleMania. Ooh. Which leads to Becky Lynch turning heel and Rhea Ripley and Dom becoming baby faces. Now, I don't know if that's really likely considering that Liv Morgan's match tonight was interrupted by Becky Lynch. And it looks like we're going to get a heel Liv Morgan. So is there a way where they can pull this off?
Well, it starts with you need to find a way for people to stop disliking Dom. And you need to figure that out really fast.
That's hard because he gets booed, man. He gets
and they
the booze.
love to boo him. But I think when you look at his character, like outside, and like if you scroll on TikTok, and like I seen a video of him and Rhea where they were sitting there doing some stuff in Australia, and they were talking about cookies or something like that. But and you just see how good of a kid Dom actually is, and like you see that brought out of him. How they do the double turns is very questionable. Like I said, I think it starts with Dom because everybody loves Rhea.
Yeah.
You need to get them to love Dom. That's going to be the tricky part. But I think if you just put Rhea over and just have Dom next, I think you could have it done that way.
You know what's tough?
Huh?
Dom turning face with Rhea would be really fun.
It would.
In my opinion, it would be really fun.
It would be exciting.
Does WWE, and we just have to remember that WWE is very logical these days, which it's not, we're not used to saying this. Triple H's booking is different, but it's inevitable. Rey Mysterio versus Dom Mysterio, hair versus mask, retirement, right?
Yep.
Rey's going to be there for like 3 or 4, maybe 5 more years, actually.
Rey's knees, man. I mean, after those, what were they? What I can't remember what they're called. The
knee replacement surgeries?
No, it wasn't the knee replacement surgery. He was getting injections to help his knees.
I don't know. I
forget. But regardless, it's
maybe
helped
stem
them a
cell
lot.
Injections.
Stem cell. Thank you.
Gotcha.
Yeah. No, it's helped them a lot. That's gonna keep him around a little bit longer. But yeah, I do think eventually, obviously.
Okay.
I fully believe.
How do they get back to Dom turning heel and then going back to that storyline?
Okay, I get it. It's a stigma and it's so simple and it's like, all right, like, okay, yeah, we know, right? But Dom reminds me so much of Eddie in so many different ways that, again, you can almost have him do both, right? Because, hear me out. He stepped out of the light of his dad. So that's gone. We know that he is no longer attached to his dad because in the beginning that was the problem, right? It's he's just Rey's son, he's never going to step out of the shadow. Well, he did that, right? Well, then now it's he's paired with Rhea, and what happens then? Hear me. This guy reminds me of Eddie because I believe that no matter in what situation you are going to put this kid in, you're going to put him in, it is going to work for him because he's going to make it work. He understands what's going on. Call me crazy, and I get it. It's such an easy comparison, right? Because of the family ties and whatever. Yeah. But he really does, and I'm not just saying that just to say it. Like, the comparisons are there, and I think anything that you do with him, he's going to find a way to make it work. So how do they get there? I think it just starts with, obviously turning him babyface now, and then eventually down the line, he just goes back, and then he becomes... Do you remember when Eddie, back in like 2005, right, became that really dark, sinister, like I fucked you over so bad that I'm going to take everything from you. Yeah. Imagine if Dom did that. Imagine if Dom turned babyface. They tagged their back and they're ready, right?
Yeah.
And then Dom just can't do it. And he just fucking takes everything from him. I don't know. There's fantasy booking all the way around, obviously.
Of course. But the reason why it's so important for anybody who's paying attention, the reason why we're even discussing like that potential babyface turn is because I think WWE in plain sight is showing you that Rhea Ripley is going to be a babyface.
Yeah. I mean, she's the easiest person to like.
And it's so easy for them to turn her babyface, but to turn her babyface, you got to figure out the Liv Morgan, Becky Lynch thing, which shout out to WWE because for those,
the fact that we have to think this in depth is crazy.
But they're making us think this in depth.
It's crazy.
It's fun because like I said, I've been on this like digital detox, right? One of my boys texted me and he's like, bro, it's so funny. This whole segment between Becky and Liv Morgan, he's like, all the Stan accounts today on Twitter started a hashtag, we want Liv. And people are having this conversation on social media that Becky Lynch is overpushed and that Liv Morgan should be replacing her for WrestleMania. And they were trying to basically replicate the We Want Cody movement just instead for Liv Morgan. And I texted
it's all the Liv Morgan Stan accounts.
Of course. And obviously WWE's not going to change their mind on it.
No.
But it was funny because he was telling me about this and I'm like, obviously I don't know because I'm not sitting there on Twitter all day. But I was like, that is fucking awesome booking considering that's why Liv
is out is not getting the shot.
I mean, it's perfect, right? Because I don't really care for DQ finishes, but this is like one of those scenarios where it's like, first of all, it works because of the storytelling from prior to the episode, but also Becky Lynch getting that moment, to screw over Liv, and then Liv is like, "Oh, you had to make this about yourself." It's like, man, I like the idea of a heel Liv Morgan. I also love the idea of a heel Becky Lynch. I don't know what the hell they do here.
It's just really tough considering the fact that Becky is just coming off of a heel run not too long ago. But it is, something that I could see happening eventually down the line. And I think it's one of those things that if it's going to happen, it's going to happen naturally. Which seems to be the case here in WWE.
Look at Rhea Ripley. Like when we talk about a babyface turn for Rhea Ripley, it's because of the fact that naturally she's just a lovable person.
And I think Triple H sees that.
I think WrestleMania ends with Rhea Ripley defending the belt and retaining the belt.
Oh, there's no chance Becky wins at WrestleMania. I'm just going to be honest here.
But it also sets the precedence that she could be, like I said, double heel, double turn.
Yep.
But maybe Liv Morgan stays a babyface. I don't know.
No, not after tonight. I don't see that. I think she gets too pissed off.
But hold on. Remember, we're talking about the reality era of WWE where people are humane. Drew McIntyre, technically speaking, again, when you look at Drew McIntyre's character, that's a babyface. That's a babyface.
Dude, I'm not sure if I texted you, but I texted somebody and I can't remember. I said, this dude is walking out here. Let's segue to this.
No. Hold on. We can't segue just yet. Okay. We can't segue just yet.
All right. We'll get into it because I do have a lot to say about that.
All right. Hold your thought. Okay. Richard, thank you for the super chat. I am not Avery dropping $4.99. LA Knight is winning Money in the Bank this year. Him versus AJ is good filler until then. Very quickly to answer this, I said it before. AJ versus LA Knight is a SmackDown match. I also believe that Randy Orton versus Logan Paul should not be the U.S. title match. If Logan Paul is doing a singles match for WrestleMania, I feel like it has to be LA Knight. I could understand the RKO going viral stuff with Logan Paul. I could understand why they would do that.
Yeah.
But Logan or LA Knight and AJ is not a WrestleMania match, in my opinion. It's been an awesome feud. Elimination Chamber was awesome between them.
But I haven't heard either of them really speak on it.
No, they've been speaking on it, and they've been attacking each other and costing each other matches and stuff. But for them to be at WrestleMania in a singles match, I'm not trying to be a dickhead. I just think, you're only going to have 5 or 6 matches each night. Like, you got to put in the big, big money matches that are going to be incredibly huge for somebody's career.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what I would be doing.
I don't think we're going to see a filler WrestleMania.
100%. 100%. That's really the key. Now that's why I do like the idea of the multi-man ladder match.
Yeah, which I'm fine with for the for the United States Championship.
Yeah. I am not Avery. Thank you. Richard Martinez dropping 3 more super chats. Number 1 contender equals double duty versus healthy Gunther, which we've said that it could work.
Yeah.
Babyface Dom equals save his dad from Santos at Mania. I don't think Ray's going to be at WrestleMania.
No, not this year. No. But at some point, I could see this possibly being a thing.
And then he eventually turns back on his dad. I don't know.
There's so many things.
And then split the women's tag titles. Split the women's tag for 2 separate mid cards. Yes. I mean, I've said this before several times. 100%. I don't think even what we saw tonight on Raw, and it's nothing against WWE. It's just the nature of the tag teams that they have. The tag team division will never catch on fire when you don't have really good branded tag teams. Yep. I'm not saying this to be an asshole. I think these women are incredible as tag teams, but I don't think they could be highlighted in a serious manner when they are being presented so much better as singles talent.
Well, that's the thing, right? Is these women, number one, I'll be honest here. Across, you have enough to do it, but there's no crazy like stars.
No, it's not. It's not the stars thing, bro. It's the makeshift tag teams. I have to cut you off.
No. You're okay. Go ahead.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's just the makeshift tag teams. That's the issue.
Yeah, I mean that I could see that being the case because yes, all of them are makeshift.
Almost all of them. Katana Chance and Kaden Carter, I wouldn't consider a makeshift.
And neither would Kairi Sane and Asuka.
Yeah,
like some of them make sense. Shayna Baszler, Zoe Starks, like I like that, but like Natalia and Tegan Knox, it's just one of those things where it's like you understand that eventually they're gonna break up. You know what I mean?
The best example of how to do this very quickly. Yeah. Just look back at when Becky Lynch was holding the NXT championship on Raw, having matches against Indy Hartwell, Tegan Knox, and all these people. Give them a mid-card title. It's so much better. And the best part is you have two of them, one for Raw, one for SmackDown. The women's tag title belts will probably never go away, but I just think the women would be highlighted better. Simple as that.
Absolutely.
Justin Kennington dropping a $2 super chat. What about Logan versus RKO versus LA versus AJ at Mania 40? I say throw in Karrion Kross and Bobby Lashley as well.
And you got a ladder match.
That's what I would do. Ladder match. I don't know when's the last time we've seen this, but since Triple H does he doesn't have a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, would it be cool for him? I don't know. Maybe this is me just being over the top, being a mark, but
you might be reaching.
But it would be kind of cool for them to bring back a Hell in a Cell multi-man match at WrestleMania.
Well, they did it last year.
Well, they just did Finn Balor versus Edge.
Yeah, so I
multi-man match for the U.S. title and a Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, that's
some WWE 2K24 type shit.
You took the word out. You took the words out of my mouth. I said this man just booked a WWE 2K24 event.
Would be cool. Justin, thank you for the super chat. Richard dropping another one, says, I still think the Pride versus Final Testament at Mania. I like this feud. It's a great feud. It's a SmackDown feud. Sorry. And I'm a huge fan of every single freaking guy and girl involved in all of this. But it's just not for this year's WrestleMania when you have 6 matches each night.
It's hard to put it on there.
It's really difficult, in my opinion. It really is.
It's one of those things that is like you could see it at like a Backlash or something like that for sure.
100%. Yeah. Thank you everybody for the super chats. Don't forget to get them in. Billy, you want to talk about Drew McIntyre? Let's talk about Drew McIntyre, one of my favorites.
I've been waiting for this. I got a lot of shit to say about him.
One of my favorites. This is one of my favorite things on Raw.
Yeah.
Drew is the best version of Drew ever.
Absolutely.
And if you ever want to know my opinion on the difference in wrestling between companies and stuff, Drew McIntyre is exactly what I want out of my wrestling. So, yeah. What were you gonna say, Billy? Hit me. Let's hear it.
Number one, this man is fucking diabolical.
He's crazy,
dude. Him sitting in the ring and sitting down like that. Can I tell you that Drew, because you know my bias, right?
Yeah,
Drew, without knowing he did, crushed my heart by doing that. All this slander, it hurts. Personally, it hurts. But no, Drew, definitely, you talked about it, that he is 100% working as a heel, but it's a baby face heel. So I think about it. When everything goes right for Drew, guess what? Drew's out there. He's smacking hands. He's telling people like, hey, yeah. And he's being super nice. But when things go wrong for Drew, he's the biggest dick that there is.
Yeah.
So CM Punk gets hurt. So we look back at when Drew was on this losing streak, right?
Yeah.
And he lost to Seth, I think, twice? Drew goes on this high ride.
Yeah, I think he lost 3 times, actually. But anyways, continue.
Yeah, he may have lost 3. But now, obviously, Jay stepped in the way. Sammy's in the way. CM Punk is in the way. And just all of these things. And now I look at him like, he's just technically, what he's doing is really just something that I think every human being would do in this situation, right? Because on our bad days, we're the worst version of ourselves, right?
Yeah.
But on the good days, we become the best version. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I Love everything that is going on with Drew McIntyre. I think it's some of the best work. And like I said, this man's fucking diabolical, and I'm so excited to see what is going to happen next.
He's a menace, first and foremost. He's definitely a menace. I love when he went up to Jey Uso backstage because Jey Uso was getting interviewed about losing last week to Gunther. And he walks up to him and he's like, "Oh, your life is so shit," or something like that. I hope this happened to you. I'm glad it happened to you, or something like that. Just again, keeping up the trend of just like, okay, that's really a dick move. But when you think about it, Jey Uso and the bloodline screwed over Drew. So like,
right.
It's so interesting to see this. When you look at WWE and you're like, things that happened 2 years ago during Vince McMahon's regime, Triple H's regime is like, hey, we should reference that. Like we should,
and just bringing it with him.
And I appreciate that. I appreciate that level of storytelling, and I appreciate the fact that this guy really like. And I love Damian Priest. I really am a big fan of Damian Priest, right?
Yeah.
But when I see Drew McIntyre having this incredible run, I go back to our old live stream that we had months ago, where I said Drew McIntyre should win the world championship. They play into the storyline that he is not re-signing his contract, and he runs out with the belt.
Especially feuding with CM Punk.
1000%. But here's the thing. What happens with Damian Priest? And he's got Money in the Bank and stuff like that. So I don't know, because I do like Damian Priest and I do think he should be a world champion. But this is bigger than that.
Now, this is the thing, right? There's so many questions that come out of this. It is all going to depend on who's going to be hotter. That's what it is. Triple H isn't going to pull the trigger on something if he knows that he can't. No, because what will happen is he'll find a way to logically book Damian Priest losing that Money in the Bank or just not having it. Go ahead.
It goes back to what we were saying about Judgment Day breaking up and that being the catalyst of why they break up.
Right.
But at the same time, too, that's where it gets difficult, because if they break up, he fails the cash and stuff like that. Like, it's so tricky to see what they're going to do. Remember, I said this in the beginning of the stream. There's a lot of stuff happening on Raw. A lot of stories being told.
It was moving.
If somebody ever tells you that WWE is not telling stories, I would just sit there and look at them and be like, don't talk. WWE is telling a shit ton of stories. So much to the point where there's like side quests and all these different things that are happening.
Colliding.
And it's all colliding. It's all happening. Drew McIntyre's story is the one that's been the biggest story told on Raw for several long months. He needs to win the belt. And I feel like they need to run the storyline where they pretend like he never signed his contract and he's running away. Now, with that being said, his promo tonight was beautiful. It was very, very cool the way he sat down the CM Punk thing. And I loved it. I also want to throw this out there. Today, Boozer Wrestling put out a tweet. He says, do you guys think, or let me put up the exact tweet so that way I quote it correctly.
Yeah.
He says, y'all think Mr. Punk is good to ref Seth's match at WrestleMania 40? Don't know. Obviously, with these insiders that are on Twitter, they speak in tongue, they're teasing stuff and whatever. But, just want to kind of throw that out there. What if maybe CM Punk is special guest referee or something like that for Seth and Drew? And the fact that CM Punk would have to be the one to count to 3 for Drew to win. Drew would fucking have the greatest promo on Raw. He would have the greatest promo. Like, not only did I pray for that to happen, but for you to look at your WrestleMania being stolen by me, and you were the one who had to count to 3. But that would be some. Ooh, that storyline, that promo would hit so hard, bro. That shit would be fire.
But at the end of the day, he hates Seth Rollins just a tad bit more.
Okay, but here's the thing. Seth, after WrestleMania, he could benefit from going away for a little bit.
He could, because he does need that little revamp. So I don't know. I mean, you could tell either story, right? You could tell it with Seth or you could tell it with Drew, whichever you prefer. I mean, Drew, I think logically is the guy to go to now, although it's just hard because I play back to those serious Raws that we talked in CM Punk and Seth Rollins, and they cut all those great promos. I don't know. There's going to be a lot to go back to, but obviously, again, they have next year to where they could play back on Seth and CM Punk then. You know what I mean? And then just call back to those things. I don't know.
It's funny because WWE is just planting so much seeds on television, and it's not like they're just growing out like a garden. It's like these fucking people have a farm just filled with the most amazing crops, and that's what happens when you're planting these seeds. And WWE, they're going to be feeding people forever with these types of storylines, bro. And I think there's a lot of people who jump the gun on wrestling. That's 100%. The reality. 100%. We did it. We did it. That's SmackDown. And we don't do that typically.
No,
people who watch really my content, like people who know, like they've watched our streams, they've watched me, they know, they're like, damn, Angle lets shit play out for months. And I'm like, but you should. And
you have to.
So I find that funny where it's like now I see people jumping the gun and I'm just like, I think this is going to be the best WrestleMania ever just based on what they're showing us, but they're not telling us what we're going to get. And I like that because as predictable as WWE could be, how we get there's a lot of twists and turns and you don't know. Which actually led me to this super chat too. I want to read this. Billy, Phil Betway says, does Dom go with Andrade and turn on Rhea? And the reason why I'm bringing this up, oops, I didn't mean to take that down. The reason why I bring this up is because I'm trying to think of, WWE is not going to rush Andrade right now. They just have him on TV a little bit here and there. They're not rushing you. Yep. They're not worried about, forcing them to do stupid stuff on TV.
They know how good he is.
I'm curious if maybe, because we talk about Drew McIntyre.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say Seth Rollins goes away.
Okay.
Drew McIntyre, World Heavyweight Champion. Damian Priest fails his cash in. Gunther at that point is no longer IC champion. Bash at Berlin. Gunther versus Drew McIntyre. You have the World Heavyweight Championship on the line. Gunther beats Drew McIntyre. Then you have Andrade. And obviously, him and Gunther would be an absolute banger. I think anybody who's ever watched NXT TakeOver Andrade would be looking at that plus times 5,000. It would be insane, right?
Yeah.
So the thing is, I can't see Dom joining Andrade because I think if you look long term, the plan is for Andrade to be a very big part of the show.
Mm-hmm.
But could we see Dom be the first opponent for him?
Yeah, I think that's going to be the case. I think Dom will be. I think they hinted at that tonight.
That's kind of what it looked like. He said he was going to go to the office to figure out who his first opponent is. Then Dom,
I think Dom is the perfect person for all these guys coming in. I think he's just such the bad guy right now that it's so easy. Like, oh, I want this guy to be liked. Just put him up against Dom.
Yeah.
They got a guy within Dom. I'm going to tell you. They really do. I fully believe that Dom is just, he's doing amazing work. So, yeah, I do believe.
I'm not saying next year. In 5 years, Dom's going to be a world champion.
100%. 100%. There's no way that he's not.
When we talk about guys like Braun Breaker and all of these people, Carmelo Hayes, I gotta find my video. I had a video where I made a video talking about Dom being a world champion, and people are like, "You're fucking stupid." But now look at him; he's so talented, and he's only gonna get better.
Calling him fucking stupid is crazy for somebody who is progressing very highly on TV.
He's in the biggest faction on WWE Raw.
Yeah.
He gets legitimate heat.
But people's argument will be like, "Oh, well, JD McDonough." Their argument would be, well, if he's in the biggest faction too, is he going to be a world champion?
Do people not understand, though, with that, how important JD is to the Judgment Day?
No, I don't think a lot of people do, but he is very important. And to say that there's not a chance that JD wouldn't be a world champion one day, take a look at wrestling. That guy is outstanding.
I don't know if he would be a world champion, but for sure, mid-card.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think people realize that Gunther and JD would have a absolute banger of an IC title match. But also every faction needs to have a fall guy. And JD McDonough is the perfect guy for it because when the Judgment Day is eventually dead and gone, it's going to be sink or swim, but he's good enough at wrestling to woo the crowd,
Right, exactly. And now you've created something for him on the main roster.
And if you really want, Judgment Day could go away until you go the singles route with Dom, because he's still, you still got to give him some time. You could always have Dom and JD tag team. They're kind of like the guys that,
they're the super
ones,
heels.
Yeah, they're the super heels taking the pins anyways for Judgment Day. So that definitely makes a lot of sense. Richard dropped a super chat. He says Andrade will be Drew's feud when Drew has a title. I'm all for it, but I want Andrade to be a world champion at some point. So
do I. I don't want it to be right away.
It doesn't have to be right away.
I could see him being right after.
But also look how many people have lost title matches and they eventually bounce back.
I mean, in this WWE, it's 100% possible.
You could look good with losses.
Right. You just have to watch.
I did want to give a shout out, by the way.
Yeah.
David Decker.
My man.
David. I said it, was it last week or the week before? He told us that he was going to be in the Special Olympics.
Yes.
For New York State. He actually revealed in the chat that he was losing. His team was losing. They were given a motivational speech by one of their teammates, and they ended up coming back and winning gold. So,
David,
congratulations, David Decker.
Dude, that's fucking awesome.
Love hearing success stories in the chat.
Yeah,
appreciate that.
Man. Stuff's beautiful.
Billy, there's one more thing that I want to talk about tonight.
Okay.
And I just want to get your overall opinion.
Okay.
Today, WWE dropped a major announcement regarding WWE 2K24. WWE 2K24 DLC. Season Pass. CM Punk is in the game. Jade Cargill's in the game. Post Malone's in the game. Pat McAfee's in the game. Also, his co-hosts are somehow in the game. I don't know what the fuck they're doing with that. But his co-host will be part of the game. We also know Dragon Lee will be part of WWE 2K24. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because obviously you don't create WWE 2K content, but that's kind of how I got started in the world of wrestling YouTube back in 2012. I know I'm for sure getting WWE 2K24.
Go ahead.
Let me ask the question, right? Because you're not much of a gamer, but you also have dabbled. I remember you telling me before with certain games.
Yeah.
What do you think? What are you thinking? How are you feeling this year?
I'm gonna purchase it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pre-order it actually. The only reason why I know it comes out next week?
I feel like it is next week, I swear.
Yeah, I think March 6th, right?
I swear I think that's the date, yeah.
Yeah, I want to say it's March 6th. But no, I am going to purchase it. My birthday's on the 10th, so I'm gonna dabble in it and I'm gonna see. May make some content on it. I don't know, man. I'm excited. I'm not the biggest video game guy, but the idea that this just seems, because I've seen other games before, I've played SmackDown versus Raw 7, I played all those games, you know what I mean? I could never get into the idea of 2K because I just thought the graphics, call this crazy, but the graphics, they got a little too out of hand for me. I was like, man, this is getting really real here. So when that happened with video games, dude, I did not know how to take it. But no, this one I am going to purchase. I am going to dabble into it. And I'm really excited.
It's interesting hearing you say that because I feel like this is like anybody who plays video games. You might not know this, so you'll have a different feeling than me. But like, if you buy a sports game or a wrestling game every year, it kind of feels like the same thing every year. 2K kind of looks the same as last year. For the most part, it does. But it looks like they made so many changes for the game. And the funny thing is, the creative suite is incredible, right? And there's going to be people on day one, they're going to make AEW wrestlers and New Japan wrestlers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's been so long since we've had a real CM Punk in WWE 2K.
If you want me to be 100% honest,
that's the reason why I was like, okay, I want the season pass.
Yeah, I'm going to buy it strictly off that alone.
Post Malone too. For us guys who like music, it's kind of
crazy. Posty's cool, man. I wanted Jelly Roll to be in there.
So, like, You never know, man. They got all these celebrities. They got Muhammad Ali in there, and now Pat McAfee and his guys. Like,
I love how Michael Cole the night on Raw referenced that he was calling the spots for Pat McAfee's move set. He was calling it. I thought that was I know, we have things going on or whatever, but I really want to talk about the dynamic between Michael Cole and Pat McAfee and how special it really is.
They're amazing.
Dude, it is outstanding.
It's funny because Cole and Barrett were really good on Raw.
Oh, 100%.
Like, they're really good. It's amazing how that change of Michael Cole being with Pat McAfee again and Wade Barrett being with Corey Graves, it's worked out so fucking awesome for both shows.
I think they all just mesh well together, and I think that especially those four, combined.
If you like mix and match them, you're
right,
saying?
Yeah, you'd be able to make it work no matter what. But there is just something about Pat and Cole, and again, it's that best friend dynamic, right? It's having that friendship outside of what you guys do.
Yeah, you can tell it's very real friendship,
right? And I think that's something here. You know what I mean? To where it's two friends just talking. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's so much better when it's like that, man. That's what makes things authentic and genuine. And for everybody in the chat, that's what makes this authentic and genuine.
Oh, 100%. Hell yeah, brother.
Hell yeah, brother.
One last thing I want to say about Raw, actually.
Yeah.
Talked about it last week. I'm going to say it again this week. And I'm curious to see how many weeks I'll say this in a row. I still stand by my statement. I think the way that WWE is presenting pro wrestling today is the greatest variation we've ever seen on televised wrestling. And the production, the colors, the crowd being lit up. WWE looks like a high quality product, but still a little gritty and grimy, and just it has a little bit of that grit to it. But also like just the way that they're doing the camera angles now without Kevin Dunn. Basically, what I'm trying to say in a very kind way is that Kevin Dunn being out of the WWE has been the best fucking thing that's ever happened to pro wrestling. So I just kind of want to throw that out there because you notice it. It's a very big difference. And also 3 hours of watching Raw when you have this incredible street fight, and you have all of these different matches, and you have Cody and Theory, or Cody and Waller, and then you're teasing stuff with Theory going babyface, and like. And then you got the Judgment Day, and then you got the Paul Heyman stuff at the end, and then you got Regeneration X, which is like so dumb, but yet so fucking funny.
Hilarious, dude.
You have all of these different things happening. You get your sports-like stuff, you get your wrestling stuff, you get your
comedy,
you get your melodramatic storytelling, you get your very, very fucking awesome moments of just like, and again, I'm doing that digital detox where I'm barely on social media. So I'm sitting there, I'm watching. And the one thing that really gravitates towards me is the pace of WWE Raw has been fucking great.
Bro, I don't want them to go away from 3 hours. We talked about this.
We said this last week. Billy, You know what's also funnier? Sometimes when you watch WWE Raw and the third hour just kind of falls off just a little until the main event.
Yeah, up until that main event. Yep.
This shit was hitting from beginning to end like that.
Every single moment of this. When I tell you, because I sit on my computer and I watch on Hulu.
Yeah.
When I tell you that it was hard to leave my computer because I was like, okay, well, I have to go to the bathroom, but can I?
Yeah.
Am I going to miss something? So I'd have to turn it up. That way I could hear it when I went to the bathroom. I'm like, dude, this is getting out of hand. You know what I mean? So how happy WWE has made me, and even on SmackDown too, NXT also, all these shows from start to finish have been hitting in ways that I can't remember. Like, I get it, the argument of like, oh, the Attitude Era and blah, blah. I think we're witnessing the best version of wrestling we've ever seen.
100%. It's crazy too, because I think for me, one of the biggest things, like, I genuinely enjoy talking about wrestling, which is why it's so weird not tweeting about wrestling.
Yeah.
And it's not like I'm going to stop tweeting forever, but just right now I'm really focused on like
taking that mental break, man.
Losing weight and being in the gym, working out. And then, bro, I was playing basketball for like 3-4 hours every day.
You can call me. I'll come hoop.
Come hoop, bro.
Yeah, I will.
I'm pretty good at it, believe it or not. I
got a shot. Yeah, you'd be shocked. I mean, I'm actually very talented when it comes to basketball. I played for a long time.
I remember one time I uploaded a clip of me shooting half-court shots.
Uh-oh.
And, dude, fucking all these people were like, I think I made like 5 out of 6 or whatever, and people were like, "When the fuck?" Like, I'm like, "Yeah, dude, you know,
it's really funny. I cannot shoot for the life of me.
Yeah.
Like, I have an okay mid range. I have a very good a post and then that dirt fade.
Yeah.
Very good with that. But I can my handles. I brag about my handles.
Yeah.
I definitely was a point guard growing up.
I wasn't. I was always like a winger.
No,
I
I
always
was a
played on
point
the
guard.
wing.
Like, I could drive. I could drive all day.
Yeah, I could shoot.
No, can't do that.
Yeah. Justin Kennington dropping a super chat for $2. He says they got to split up them damn tag titles now.
Stand by it.
I mean, how often have I been saying this at this point?
I mean, it's a natural thing now. It's just, yeah, we know.
By the way, they are. They're going to.
Yeah,
They're
will.
going to. It's obvious.
I mean, they're showing it now more than ever. Just give them time. Again, just give them time.
I think, believe it or not, I think Awesome Truth ends up getting that tag title match at Mania, and they win.
So do I.
I think they get that pop. You know, for R-Truth, for the sake of him being a longtime veteran, because I know the IWC is fucking stupid as hell when it comes to shit like this. They're going to try to bury it. Awesome Truth getting that nice little nostalgic pop. They'll get that little win. Great. Let them get fucking smoked by AOP.
The next day.
Let them go. Like, whatever you want to do, like Raw and SmackDown.
Have that moment.
You can have them defend Raw and SmackDown, lose one of them, keep the other one, and then build the program.
If you want to break up those tag team titles, not to get into like crazy depth conversation about it, but the best way to break up those tag team titles is have Awesome Truth win it.
100%.
That's the best way to do it. They're fighting champions, and they'll fight anywhere at any time, and then they lose both times.
Well, it would be really funny too because R-Truth is a dumbass, right? That's his gimmick.
Yeah.
So like he brings like the Raw titles to SmackDown and
forgets the SmackDown one.
Nick Aldis gets pissed at him. He's like, "You didn't even bring the right tag titles," like, bro. Tell me this shit wouldn't be funny. You're lying. They would definitely be funny. We'll see how it all goes down, obviously, but you never really know. Obviously, we got to just see how it goes. But I do think they're going to split up the titles still. I think that's always been the plan. I think the part of the splitting up the titles thing, there's really one reason why they haven't. And I think it's right now, if you split up the tag titles, it doesn't feel organic. It feels like you're just kind of doing it to do it.
Right. No, it needs to be organic.
Yeah. Also, I did want to point out with the tag title split, it would be really nice for DIY because of this whole Regeneration X. I know this might not be a popular answer, but DIY turning heel on Awesome Truth to win those titles would be really cool, in my opinion.
They've been heel before.
They have been heel.
Yeah.
Tommaso Ciampa, also when he turned heel on Johnny Gargano back in NXT, is one of the most epic. Before Dom Mysterio had heat, Ciampa had to literally come out with no music, and like it was just crazy. The crowd was crazy. So
that's when I was watching NXT. What a time! What a time!
This is the way. No pun intended. The way. Right. But yeah, Awesome Truth could win at WrestleMania, and then AOP wins it for SmackDown's. DIY turns heel, wins it for Raw. At this point, based on what I'm seeing on TV, that would be the most acceptable booking. Or you could do multiple man matches and whatever. I also do think we are at the point where we probably won't get this, but R-Truth turning heel and having one badass heel turn because he's just such a fucking awesome heel. But it probably won't happen. But I'm just saying that would be really cool too.
Yeah.
Justin, thank you for the super chat. Billy, anything else you want to say?
No, I mean, not necessarily. I know we didn't really talk much about the Cody Rhodes situation, but I mean, that's just, I think we're going to see more of that play out on SmackDown.
Yeah. 1000%.
Yeah.
And the thing with Cody on Raw tonight is he had a match with Grayson Waller. It was fine.
You had Paul Heyman come out.
Paul Heyman came out, just continues the story.
Right.
Cody's got a lot of adversity, man. He's finishing the story this year.
Yes.
Get ready. It's going to be fucking exciting.
Yes. So Friday, I seen Anthony. He asked if we're going live on Friday. So, I mean, it's up to you. But obviously The Rock's going to be there, and he's going to be there the next 3 weeks.
I genuinely can't make promises right now. Yeah, right now I can't make promises. If I'm not live, I'm sure Billy might be live too. I
was about to say I'm going to kind of plug myself a little bit. If we are not live, I for sure will be. Yeah. And if you're not.
Yeah, and if Billy's not live, then I might be live. It just depends. I really don't know for sure. Really hard to say right now with live schedule, guys. Just because right now a lot of my time has actually been like cooking and going to the gym. Yes, honestly, I haven't really been doing much other than that.
Being the best version of yourself.
Being the best version of myself. You know, I don't actually. Funny thing is, I've been going to bed like 9 p.m., 10 p.m. Like I've been doing stuff like that too. So
I will say that is the most healthy thing that one can do is go to bed at a decent time and really shut your phone off.
But us wrestling fans, man, Elimination Chamber fucking ruined my body.
Oh, dude. So listen, I know because we had talked about going live and I went live. When I tell you that was one of the biggest struggles that I can remember.
Yeah.
Falling asleep at 1 a.m. and then getting up at 4:30 to turn on the Elimination Chamber? No. Never again. I stayed up the whole day just because I was like, okay, I can't mess my sleep schedule up.
Yeah.
Dude, horrible time. I praise the fans overseas.
Yeah, if you're from the UK or overseas, whatever, 100%. God bless you, man. I don't know how you do it. I really don't. It's very, very difficult. It really is. It's difficult. It was hard.
Yeah, dude. Us American fans, dude. I mean, I'll be honest, we're spoiled.
Like when they go to France, it'll be easy because it's like a 2 p.m. show, you know?
Yeah, same with like Saudi Arabia. Like that's not bad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
That is what it is. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our show. If we are live Friday, I will let you guys know ahead of time if you're in Discord. If you're not on Discord, you should probably get on Discord because that's where I'm the most active. But yeah, Billy, thank you again for joining me. I thought Raw was solid. Raw was great.
Yes, sir.
Tomorrow's NXT. There's actually a good chance I should be able to go live tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, I'm here to tell you, I could definitely.
Yeah, so
for that. Yeah,
maybe we'll see you guys tomorrow night. With that being said, thank you everybody for the super chats, all that good stuff, and for all the new subscribers as well. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our live stream.